It's time to talk about the important issues for the natural state. And there's only one place to turn for that. Opportunity Arkansas's Nick Horton. You can find Nick's work at opportunityarkansas.org.
And welcome back to First News, Wednesday edition, just about 20 minutes in front of 7 o'clock. And that does mean it's time to visit with Nick Horton, the founder and CEO of Opportunity Arkansas. Nick, welcome back to the show. How's the new year starting out for you?
Hey, I'm doing great, brother. I'm just so excited to be here. I decided to call in an hour early today. I just couldn't wait. Couldn't sleep.
Chomping at the bit. So totally understand.
Ready to go.
So, well, Nick, since it's a new year, we should start today with new things that Opportunity Arkansas is putting out. And the new Pay As We Grow dashboard is where I want to start. And so we're just focused on reducing our taxes here in Arkansas. So what can you tell us about this new feature from your organization?
Well, I want to be sure people know where they can access this, certainly. So payaswegrow.com. I can't believe that URL was available, but it was, Toby. So we grabbed it. Payaswegrow.com. People can go there and see it for themselves. But really, this is just a very important resource to make sure that the people of Arkansas know where Arkansas stands in the race to fully eliminate our state income tax. As you know, Toby, and I think your listeners probably know because we talk about this pretty regularly on this weekly segment, we've been making a lot of really good progress towards eliminating the state income tax, but that came to a screeching halt last year. Still not really sure why. Still haven't gotten really a straight answer from state leaders about that. But 2025 was actually the first year since 2020. So we had a 4-year hot streak going of chipping away at our state income tax. And something else really important happened last year in 2 neighboring states, Mississippi and Oklahoma, which is that they passed clear plans to fully eliminate their state income taxes over time using state surpluses and backfilling from other sources of revenue. And Arkansas did nothing. And the counter to that, I think, can be, well, Nick, I mean, gosh, we did cuts for 4 years in a row. I mean, what are you not satisfied with that? And my response would be, no, I'm not, because Arkansans are still paying at the top rate, which is what most Arkansans pay, nearly 4% out of their paycheck every single week to state government. Yeah. And we have these massive state surpluses. We have billions of dollars in reserves, Toby, which never gets any attention. You're going to see a lot more from us on that coming out soon. But this resource, payaswegrow.com, it's really just a very simple, easy-to-use tool for folks to go to learn more about our plan to fully eliminate the state income tax. Politicians have talked about wanting to do this for years, and they're going to continue to say, oh, yeah, we want to do that, we want to do that. But no one's ever had a plan. And I can tell you from personal experience, from professional experience, if it's not written down, if it's not a plan, if it's not on paper, it's not going to happen. Whoever has the plan, whoever has the piece of paper is going to win, and we're going to continue to push for this and put a plan forward because it's one of the most important things we can do for the future of our state.
Yeah, no, it's tremendous that you're putting all this effort into this because it needs to be spotlighted, as we all know. Obviously, there's no official session at the Capitol until 2027. So, I mean, you guys spend a lot of time at the Capitol. You talk to a lot of lawmakers. I mean, is there some chatter about wanting to get a special session to possibly, get rid of taxes or at least step it down? We've kind of been doing the stair step, up to this point. But, I mean, is there any talk of it at all? Because I know you said initially that it's kind of just disappeared last year. And so, I mean, is there any chatter about this at all?
There is definitely some chatter. I would say there's an increasing amount of chatter, an increasing likelihood that there will be some income tax cuts either late this quarter or early next. And we're certainly very optimistic and would be very glad to see that happen. But again, I think it's not going to happen unless we and the people of Arkansas continue to talk about this and continue to show that this is possible and that there is demand for this. Pay As We Grow, the dashboard we were talking about, payaswegrow.com. I mean, it's a really clear plan to simply say we're going to use state surpluses as we've had consistently for the last 8, 9, 10 years, and we're going to pay down our state income tax as we have the resources to do that. Arkansans should get a raise.
That's right.
As state revenue continues to grow, your paycheck should continue to grow too. And it's really simple. It's very similar, for what it's worth, Toby. When we've had this in our policy agenda since the inception of Opportunity Arkansas. But then Mississippi and Oklahoma, as I mentioned earlier, they've leapfrogged us on this now, and they've actually put this into state law. And so that really, in my view, when you talk about Tennessee and Texas have no state income tax, Louisiana is now at a flat rate of 3%, and they are marching very quickly towards zero. I mean, we went from, look, I mean, policymakers get upset sometimes. We don't give them enough credit or they don't get enough attaboys. Look, job well done. We were at 6.9. Now we're at 3.9. We're almost halfway there. No one is happier about that than we are, than I am. I mean, it's a really big deal. But the problem is, it's not a static goal. I mean, we're competing with states actively around us that are currently moving more quickly than we are, and so we've got to up our game to continue to compete.
Yeah, no reason to be in last place, that's for sure. And I mean, you see the growth of our state going on. I mean, we were just announcing in the news yesterday that, you got this big data center from Aveo that's coming in, a $6 billion investment. I mean, that's where some taxes should be paid, is out of companies like that. And I mean, that as opposed to giving them breaks. I mean, they're going to make just a truckload of money out of Arkansas with this data center. And so you should kick a little into to where they're working. And I'm sure they will. I don't know what all the stats are on that. Nick, I want to rotate over to the EFA accounts. Last night, a meeting with some lawmakers approved $32 million to support EFA accounts. And so my first question on this, I got a couple here, but my first question on this is, was this expected that once the accounts were available to everyone, that some more money would be needed to cover the whole cost of everybody using EFAs? Or are we at a number, I believe I saw it's 44,000 different children are having access to the EFA accounts. I don't want to say families, because I think it's just individual kids that's attached to with the 44,000 number. But was this expected that it would need a little boost as it went along, especially as it grew?
Yeah, I think reality is, just to be blunt here, is that the state probably under budgeted for the demand that we've seen from this program.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be a surprise in the sense that the governor and Opportunity Arkansas and legislative leaders that Representative Keith Brooks and others who've really championed this program have been pretty clear from day one that this was going to be a priority and that we were going to make sure, again, we've got money. We've got $400 million surplus from last year. We're on track for another $300 million surplus this year.
Yeah.
Certainly, we would love, obviously, to see some of that given back to the taxpayers in the form of income tax relief. But the money is there, and this is a priority. So something maybe happened on the back end of, our projections were bad. We didn't set enough money aside. But state leaders have been clear, and to their credit have been really clear, that every single child in Arkansas that wanted this was going to get it, and we were going to do what it took to make sure that they get the money. We're very supportive of that. I think it's incredibly supportive, especially in the first year of the program really truly being fully universal, which is the other piece of this too, Toby. I mean, there really wasn't a baseline. There really wasn't any way to fully know what the uptake rate was going to be, because this was the first school year in which it was truly universally available to every single Arkansas child. So I would not expect that in years ahead that you'll see this as now being the second time that lawmakers have had to come back and approve additional funding. I think now we'll know, okay, here's kind of the equilibrium, kind of the balancing point of what we need to allocate for this. And it'll be there, and we'll have kind of that reference point going forward. Yeah,
I mean, I personally, just my own thought, I think this is beautiful. It just means it's being used so widely in our state that it needs a little boost, and I think that's great, especially knowing that you can grab it out of the surplus, which...
that never gets talked about. I'm so glad you said that, because, of course, these Democrat Gazette stories and everything else is just, sky's falling, more money. Now, there's so many ways I want to just...
This is money well spent, is the difference.
It's money well spent, right? I mean, and I know you had my friend Gary Newton from Arkansas Learns on the show yesterday, as he is so great at reminding me and everyone that this program costs less than half the cost per student to educate a student through this program than it is through the public school system. That is a bargain. And by the way, by and large, these kids are getting better educations, or they wouldn't be going to these schools. Their parents wouldn't be pulling them out or prioritizing private school or homeschool or whatever it may be if they weren't satisfied with what they were getting from those educational options. So you're talking about less than half the cost for, in many cases, a better outcome, a better education, certainly much higher parental satisfaction. And that's a bargain. I mean, this program is a bargain for taxpayers. And then you start looking in context of how much we spend on Medicaid. Toby, we spend $20 million a day,
right,
per day on the Medicaid program.
Yeah.
And the state
write an article about that.
Having a coronary about $30 million having to be extra allocated for one program for 1 year to help a couple kids get a quality education, a few kids get a quality education. The perspective and the context of this is just so always just lost, and maybe intentionally, I don't know. Maybe it's just sloppy journalism, but it's a great point. I'm glad you mentioned it.
One other point on the EFA money. It sounds like a decision was made on the there's the big question about can you use part of your EFA money on team sports, and so it's at least in this particular school year. And so, can you tell us what decision has been made, how that moved forward?
Well, in this particular school year, I think is the big caveat there,
right,
as you mentioned,
That's
because
right.
It seems like from what we're hearing and seeing and reading out there, the department still has pretty much every intention of moving forward with the rule for next school year to eliminate or disallow the use of education freedom fundings for team sports. It is a victory for now, it seems, in that they're not going to change anything for this school year. That seems to be clearly the right, I mean, that's the right policy decision regardless, but just from a practical standpoint, when you're talking about we're over halfway through the school year and you want to all of a sudden change the rules on all these families, like that would just not be fair or wise in our opinion. So we're glad to see that. I certainly think, though, as you mentioned, like this fight is not over.
Right.
The department seems to be sending every indication, every signal that they want to continue to push forward with this policy. And so I would just encourage your listeners and folks, I know there were, I think, a couple hundred comments that were submitted through the public comment process. That process will continue to play out. If and when they amend the rule or try to bring the rule back again, it'll have to go back through the public comment process again. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's going to be really important for Arkansans to continue to pay attention, and certainly will be engaged, and will be sounding the alarm as needed, and making sure that this program stays flexible and functional and family friendly as possible for the people of Arkansas and the next generation.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is good. Like you said, good for this year. Probably got to do a little more fighting on this starting when this school year ends and they start looking at next school year. Nick, always appreciate you stopping by. I've got a whole bunch of other things, but we'll get to them next Wednesday when you join us. But folks, make sure that you go and check out the brand new website talking about how we can reduce taxes. Great resource. It's called payaswegrow.com, operated by Opportunity Arkansas. But Nick, we always appreciate you joining us, and we'll chat with you again next week.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Toby.